watching.
Subscribe.
Hey guys, it's SoCalVal for ScreenStalker, and today, in honor of X-Men Dark Phoenix, which looks so bad it's good, that Marvel finally have control of the franchise again, we've compiled a list of the worst superhero movies ever. Absolute stinkers, abominations of cinema, horrific cinema nightmares that should have been left on the cutting room floor. So yeah, you get the point. Before we begin, press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, and answer our question of the day. What's the worst superhero film you've ever seen? Let's hear from you in the comments. First, let's start with an honorable mention of laughable proportions. Batman and Robin, released in 1997, which was otherwise a really good year for films. Oh lord. Batman and Robin has gone full circle and became so terribly bad that it's now great. It's funny to laugh at in the same way The Room is, so it can't then be considered one of the worst superhero movies anymore. And to be honest, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze was memorable in a hilarious kind of way, and Poison Ivy was super hot. And if it wasn't for her, what would redheads like me do for a slutty Halloween costume? Poison Ivy is the obvious choice. Never mess with Mother Nature. That was an actual line from the movie, I'm not even kidding. Now on to Daredevil, released in 2003. So somebody decided to make the most generally common looking actor ever, Ben Affleck, a superhero. See, we're off to a rocky start here. Affleck is the star of this 2003 movie Monstrosity, and Colin Farrell really overdoes his performance as Bullseye. As will be the case for the vast majority of this list, the CGI is not great, and the plot is lacking. However, one shining point of this film is Michael Clarke Duncan's performance of Kingpin, which is phenomenal. Other than that though, this sucks. In my opinion, Ben Affleck sucks in generally everything but Gone Girl. Remember the days he was simply Matt Damon's best friend? Oh, those were simpler times, which made a lot more sense. Moving on to Hulk in 2003. Woof! 2003 really was a bad year for superhero movies, wasn't it? Ang Lee's version of the Hulk thankfully isn't included in the MCU, because if it was, the MCU would have kicked off terribly. Once again, as is the norm for terrible superhero movies, the CGI is not great at all. Eric Bana doesn't really bring anything to this performance as Bruce Banner. The movie has so many crosscuts and crazy transitions it makes you sick, and there really isn't that much to like in this movie at all. It's so unlikable that I don't even like talking about it. Next, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, was released in 2009, and get this, Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool. Just a shame it's the awful version. Deadpool, the merc with a mouth, gets his mouth sewn shut. Fan favorite Gambit comes and goes quicker than one of his signature card throws. The CGI for Wolverine's claws is somehow worse than in the original X-Men movie 9 years before this one, and worst of all, will.i.am is in it. Who did this? Next up is Fantastic Four, released in 2015. Okay, now this movie was supposed to kickstart and refresh the Fantastic Four franchise, and then it didn't. The CGI and plot were terrible. It has a 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and it ruined any chance of director Josh Trank directing a Star Wars movie. Luckily, Michael B. Jordan went on to play Killmonger in Black Panther, so he could play a much better character in a much better superhero movie in a much better franchise. So there's a silver lining, or a black lining, if you think about it. Black Panther? Anyway, now let's discuss Superman 4, The Quest for Peace from 1987. So, Superman faces off against a villain called Nuclear Man, and I think that's all you need to know about this because that's it. Okay, so now let's get into Green Lantern, released in 2011. Ryan Reynolds is back again, this time being Green Lantern, and oh my god, I cannot believe I sat through this horrible movie. In fact, I've still never forgiven Ryan Reynolds for this film, and if I ever meet the guy, I'm gonna walk right up to him and demand the price of my ticket back. I don't care how hot you were in Blade Trinity, Ryan. This was hot garbage, okay? Everything in this movie is just awful, including Blake Lively delivering uninspired lines and sounding, as always, like she has marbles in her mouth. She sucks so bad, and she always has. There's a scene in Green Lantern where his terrible CGI suit mask disappears from his face, and Blake, as his love interest, just says, "That's so cool." What? No, it isn't. How did Ryan and Blake get married after this? I'd like to divorce both of them for the absurdity of this terrible film. Moving on to a truly foul feline fiasco is 2004's Catwoman. The plot for this movie revolves around poisonous makeup, because of course it does. The CGI, acting, dialogue, and pretty much everything else in this movie make it unremarkable, so genuinely dreadful, with absolutely no saving grace whatsoever. Even Halle Berry's hotness made no difference here, and that's saying a lot because she's super hot. But she did try her best. Halle Berry is so hot, right? I love her. But yeah, if you did see Catwoman, I'm sure like me, you wanted to claw your eyes out. We're in agreement here at ScreenStalker that Catwoman is quite possibly the worst superhero movie of all time. Before you go, make sure to click the thumbs up on this video, give us a subscribe, and click the bell icon to enable notifications so you'll be notified for future episodes. For ScreenStalker, I'm SoCalVal. We're watching.